From the rugged peaks of the Rockies to the shores of the Atlantic, from the vast northern tundra to the bustling southern cities, lies a nation of stories, a mosaic of cultures, and a history as sprawling and diverse as its landscape. This is the story of Canada, a journey from ancient lands to a modern, multicultural nation. Let's dive into the incredible tale of how this country came to be. Long before any European ship reached its shores, this land was home to vibrant and complex societies. For thousands of years, the first peoples, the Inuit, Métis, and hundreds of distinct First Nations flourished here. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. From the Haida-Gwaii, master carvers and seafarers of the Pacific coast, to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy in the east, with their sophisticated political system that influenced modern democracy, these communities had deep spiritual connections to the land, intricate trade networks that spanned the continent, and rich oral traditions that passed down knowledge through generations. They were the original inhabitants, the first stewards of this land, and their legacy is the foundational chapter of Canada's story. The winds of change began to blow in the late 15th century. Norse sailors had briefly landed centuries earlier, but the arrival of explorers like John Cabot in 1497 and later Jacques Cartier, who sailed up the St. Lawrence River in 1534, marked the beginning of sustained European contact. What brought them here? The promise of riches. At first, it was fish, but soon it was fur. The beaver pelt became the most coveted commodity, driving a massive fur trade that would shape the continent for centuries. This trade created complex relationships between Europeans and Indigenous peoples. Alliances were formed, like the one between the French and the Huron-Wendat, but it also brought new diseases that devastated Indigenous populations, and competition for resources led to escalating conflicts. The French established settlements like Quebec City in 1608, creating the colony of New France, a vast territory that stretched deep into the continent. Meanwhile, the British, through the Hudson's Bay Company, established their own fur trading empire, controlling the massive watershed of Hudson Bay. The rivalry between these two European powers, France and Britain, was a constant source of tension. It wasn't just a battle for fur, it was a battle for control of North America. This struggle culminated in the 7 Years' War. The decisive Battle of the Plains of Abraham in 1759 saw the British defeat the French, and with the Treaty of Paris in 1763, France ceded most of its North American territory to Britain. Canada was now under British rule, but the French-speaking population, the Canadians, remained, setting the stage for Canada's future as a bilingual nation. The late 18th and early 19th centuries were a time of great upheaval. The American Revolution to the south sent thousands of loyalists, those loyal to the British Crown, fleeing north. They settled in what would become Ontario and the Maritime provinces, fundamentally changing the demographic and political landscape. Then came the War of 1812, where the United States attempted to invade. This conflict was a defining moment. It saw British regulars, Canadian militia, and their First Nations allies, including the legendary Shawnee chief Tecumseh, unite to repel the American forces. The war didn't change any borders, but it forged a sense of a distinct Canadian identity, a feeling of being different from their American neighbors. By the mid-19th century, the British colonies in North America were a scattered collection of communities with different economies, cultures, and concerns. But a new idea was taking hold, the idea of union. Leaders like John A. Macdonald and George Etienne Cartier argued that by joining together, the colonies would be stronger economically and better able to defend themselves against potential American expansion. After years of debates and conferences, their vision became a reality. On July 1st, 1867, the Dominion of Canada was born. The British North America Act united the provinces of Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick into a new, self-governing federation. It was a bold experiment, a peaceful creation of a new country. John A. Macdonald became Canada's first Prime Minister, with a dream of a nation stretching from sea to sea. That dream drove one of the most ambitious projects in the nation's history, the Canadian Pacific Railway. The promise of a railway was key to convincing British Columbia to join the Confederation in 1871. Building it was a monumental task, crossing unforgiving terrain. The work was done by thousands of laborers, including many Chinese workers who faced horrific conditions and discrimination. At the same time, the government moved to settle the prairies. Treaties were signed with First Nations, often under duress, and with promises that were not kept, leading to the creation of the reserve system. The Métis people of the Red River, led by Louis Riel, resisted this expansion, fighting to protect their land and rights in what became the Red River and Northwest Rebellions. These conflicts are a painful but crucial part of Canada's story of westward expansion. By the early 20th century, the provinces of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta had been created, and the sea-to-sea nation was a reality. The 20th century tested Canada's newfound identity on the world stage. In World War I, Canadian soldiers distinguished themselves as fierce and effective fighters, particularly at the Battle of Vimy Ridge in 1917. This victory, though costly, became a powerful symbol of Canadian achievement and nationhood. The country came of age, but at a terrible price. The Great Depression hit hard, but it also spurred the creation of social safety nets that would define modern Canada. In World War II, Canada once again played a crucial role, contributing significantly to the Allied victory, from the beaches of Normandy to the Battle of the Atlantic. The post-war years were a period of prosperity and growth. Canada began to forge its own path in foreign policy, establishing itself as a middle power and a leader in peacekeeping. The journey towards full independence was a gradual one. In 1931, the Statute of Westminster granted Canada full legal autonomy. But the final step came much later. In 1982, under Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Canada patriated its constitution. This meant the country could now amend its own constitution without needing Britain's approval. Embedded within this new constitution was the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This document protects the fundamental rights of all Canadians: freedom of speech, religion, equality, and legal rights. It has profoundly shaped Canadian society and law, becoming a cornerstone of the country's identity. Today, Canada is a nation defined by its multiculturalism. Waves of immigration from every corner of the globe have created a vibrant mosaic of cultures, languages, and traditions. This diversity is celebrated as a national strength, though it also brings challenges. The country is also engaged in a vital and ongoing process of reconciliation with its Indigenous peoples. Acknowledging the painful history of residential schools and broken treaties, and working towards a future based on respect and partnership, is one of the most important challenges Canada faces. From its ancient Indigenous roots to the arrival of Europeans, from a British colony to a self-governing dominion, and finally to a fully independent and multicultural nation, Canada's story is one of complexity, conflict, and collaboration. It's a story of building a country on a vast and challenging land, a story that is still being written by the millions who call it home. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of Canada. If you found this interesting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from our incredible world. See you next time.